Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Daily Gwei Refuel, where I recap the latest news in the Ethereum ecosystem. I'm your host, Anthony Sassano. It's the 3rd of March, 2025. Alright everyone, let's get into it. So, an exciting weekend of news. We had a bunch of things happen, which I'm going to go through, of course, today, but it's kind of funny that it all happened over the weekend. You usually expect these kind of announcements to happen during the week, but I guess they wanted to do them on the weekend, and here we are. So, let's start with the biggest announcement. We have those EF, or Ethereum Foundation, leadership changes now confirmed. So, there are going to be two new executive directors of the Ethereum Foundation, Xiaowei Wang and Tomas Stanskak. I'm saying that surname wrong, but who these people are is what's important, not how I pronounce their name. So Xiaowei Wang, you guys know, has been in the Ethereum ecosystem for quite a while. I've talked about her a lot on the Refuel before. She's been around, I think, since at least like 2019, probably even earlier than that, and she was instrumental in the development of what we used to know as ETH2, or the Beacon Chain Proof of Stake Ethereum. So she's been around for a while. She's very technical. She knows a lot of people within the Ethereum ecosystem. She has a lot of great connections there, and she has been at the Ethereum Foundation for as long as I think I've known about her. So she obviously has that's obviously a promotion that's been done within. And then you have Tomas, on the other hand, who is actually one of the founders of the Nethermind team. And as you guys know, the Nethermind team do a lot of different things within the Ethereum ecosystem. They not only make the an execution layer client, I believe they were even working on a consensus layer client, but they do a bunch of other things like security audits. They've worked closely with the Starknet team to develop things like an escape hatch tool, and so on and so forth, right? They do a lot of different things across the ecosystem. I believe the team is over 200 people or something like that. But they are distinctly separate from the Ethereum Foundation. So this is the Ethereum Foundation going out and saying, okay, we're going to hire two executive directors, one from within and one outside. But Tomas has obviously worked closely with the EF for quite a while, given that Nethermind has a client, given that a lot of the work they do has close relations to the EF anyway, but he didn't work or hasn't worked for the EF. I don't think he's ever worked for the EF directly here, but now he does, obviously, starting, I think, in a couple of weeks as a co-executive director. Now, in terms of their skill sets here, and this is one thing that I think a lot of people may have been confused on, because both of them seem quite technical, right? Both of them come from quite technical backgrounds, but I think from my understanding of where the skill set of each of these people lie, Xiaowei has a skill set in a lot of research and development. She's done a lot of that over the years. She has a lot of personal and close relationships within the Ethereum Foundation. She's someone that everyone knows. She's someone that people trust within the organization, and she's already got those existing relationships there. So she would be what I consider to be maybe the technical side of this co-ED kind of thing that's going on here. Whereas Tomas, on the other hand, while he is technical, he's also led a team for quite a while now at Nethermind. He's been doing that stuff day to day. He grew Nethermind from, I think, from basically nothing to where it is today. One of the biggest, if not the biggest teams, one of the biggest teams in the Ethereum ecosystem, I should say here. So not only is he technical, but he's also a leader, a proven leader, which obviously is exactly what's needed for an executive director. Now, I saw some concerns from people about what a co-executive director kind of thing would look like, because obviously we've seen, or I don't know how closely you guys have paid attention over maybe the last 10, 20 years in businesses or studied business history. Normally co-CEOs don't work, but I think that it's weird because, like, this isn't a CEO position, right? And Ethereum isn't a company. The Ethereum Foundation isn't a company. It's a foundation, right? And there's different goals, different ways of doing things. There's no shareholders to answer to as well. Like, I know sometimes people like to think that the EF is, should be doing things to benefit the ETH price, and yeah, in some way they should, but it's not the same relationship as a company needing to make sure their stock price is strong and goes up, because there is a fiduciary duty there for those sorts of things. So there is a difference here, I think, and I think that a co-executive director relationship with the EF with other organizations within the Ethereum ecosystem can actually be very strong, because I do trust that both of these people have the requisite skills required in order to do the job, especially given that I know their background. I've known about them for a very long time. And also, I mean, I've already seen Tomas, like you can see this tweet here, I've already seen him be super active on Twitter, and he hasn't even started in an official capacity yet. So that's what we actually need as well. We need a more public-facing ED. I think Xiaowei, given that she's more technical and she definitely has been more in the background, I think she'll continue that role and do stuff in the background. But I think Tomas is going to be that face, right? He's going to be the more public-facing leadership and bring that kind of leadership leadership style to his role as as a co-executive director here. And he was responding today to the announcement of that crypto strategic reserve that Trump, I guess like I can't say tweeted about because he posted about it on Truth Social, but he posted about it and he said, oh, there's going to be a crypto strategic reserve. It's going to have XRP, ADA, and Sol in it. And then like 45 minutes later, he posted again and said, oh, and of course BTC and ETH. And like there was a lot of confusion with that, of course. I think like not just confusion, but also just like if we're going to have a crypto strategic reserve of anything, this is just doing more damage than good, because no one takes these things seriously within crypto. Like Ripple, I'm sorry, it's a scam, right? It's a huge scam. They haven't done anything for so long. They've just got a huge marketing machine behind them, and it's pretty much a scam, at least from where I'm looking. Cardano, look, maybe it's not a scam, but like it's pretty useless. They don't really have any usage going on there. They've been around for a very long time. They keep claiming that they're going to be better than this, better than that, and they never get there, right? And then Solana, on the other hand, I mean, obviously Solana isn't a scam or anything like that, but at the same time, like it's, if you're going by, I guess, like what the largest market caps are here in terms of assets to be part of a strategic reserve, there are ones bigger than that already, like BNB, for example. But I think that those assets were chosen. Well, I really think those assets were chosen because someone close to Trump told him to tweet out about those. But also, they've been going on about this like American-made crypto thing, where it's kind of funny because, you know, Ripple, Cardano, and Solana are positioning themselves as American-made, when in reality, at least two of those, I don't know if 3 for 3, but at least two of those are not American-made. They have foundations outside of America, specifically in Switzerland, and so do most of crypto, because doing it in the US was not the right way to do it because of various different reasons here. But you can't claim to be an American-made crypto just because your founders live in the US, right? So I thought that was a little bit of bullshit there. But then Trump following up by saying, oh, and of course BTC and Ether included, that means that someone told him, hey, you forgot to tweet about BTC and ETH, right? Or you forgot to post about that, which just to me is just like more clown world, right? I didn't like that. I woke up to this today and I was like, what the fuck's going on? Like, this is not how a serious strategic reserve should be done. Honestly, it should probably just start with BTC and then add ETH later. I'd like it to start with BTC and ETH, but I don't see this as anything other than people close to Trump pumping their bags. It makes absolutely no sense to have Cardano or Ripple or even Solana at this stage in the strategic reserve, because if you're talking about what the strategic reserve's point actually is, it's to be strategically important for the US. Cardano could go down tomorrow and no one would care. Like, there'd be a lot of bag holders, obviously, but the network is barely used. Ripple, the same thing. There's a lot of bag holders, network barely used. It's not a standard of anything. They used to call themselves the standard. It's not used by any of the banks around the world, maybe in some like very small pilot programs, but not really. And then Solana, on the other hand, as well, has just not been around long enough. It's not mature enough, I believe. And I think that Sol as an asset, I don't think it's a great asset to add there as well. They have like super high inflation, all that sort of stuff. I don't want to bash anything too much here, but as I said, if it's strategic, then sure, add BTC first, because that's a huge asset now. It has a lot of traditional finance involvement with it. It's broadly accepted, at least within crypto and some of the TradFi circles, as a digital gold, right? An alternative store of value there, or alternative gold there. And then ETH, I think, I've gone through this before on the refuel. I think ETH is extremely strategic for the US for a number of reasons. ETH as an asset, I believe, is an alternative store of value, or a store of value and a money itself. But most of the stable coins are issued on top of Ethereum. So Ethereum, the network, is critically important here. The biggest crypto companies are building their business that are based in the US are building their businesses on Ethereum. Coinbase with Base, Kraken with Inc, right? And then you also have the fact that tokenized assets, real world assets, are being deployed on Ethereum. So I believe ETH is just as strategically important here as BTC is, if not more. But the others, as I said, like 100%, Cardano and Ripple make absolutely no sense. There is no strategic importance of those assets at all for the US. As I said, they could both go away tomorrow, and the only people that would be hurting is the people that held the assets, the bag holders, essentially, right? No one uses the networks. So yeah, and anyway, the reason why I went on a rant about that And how I got onto that topic was, as I was saying, Tomas basically tweeted out that, because of this announcement, now is the time to really get the Ethereum ecosystem involved with TradFi, with these institutions, with the governments, and make sure that we are represented there. And he said that he cannot promise it would be delivered by the EF quickly enough, obviously, and he is not sure if Etherealize is already fully operational to execute on this within hours. Etherealize is getting there, and there's actually an announcement regarding Etherealize that I'll talk about in a sec. But we will, and then he said we will look at how to improve it with the EF, but Ethereum is a sum of all the great builders and it handles really high institutional stakes. And he's got a list of different things, different apps and different companies working within the Ethereum ecosystem here. So I don't necessarily think that it's the message that should be focused on here, even though the message is important. It's the fact that he even put something out to begin with, because as you guys know, like IR is more of, I guess, like she wasn't loud on Twitter. Like I don't know what word I was looking for there, but she wasn't loud on Twitter, right? As the executive director, she was doing a lot of things internally, but it wasn't visible externally, and she definitely wasn't doing stuff like this. Whereas Tomas is. So, and as I said, he's not in the position yet. He'll be joining in a couple of weeks. But what this signals is that Tomas wants to be really aggressive about this. He wants to tweet more. He wants to let people know what's going on. He wants to market the Ethereum Foundation more, talk about them more, and basically be a leader, a true externally facing leader within the Ethereum ecosystem here. And then Xiao Wei can probably just handle a lot of the internal stuff, right? A lot of the internal R&D stuff as well, which is critically important. I'm sure Tomas will have a hand in that too, but yeah, I think he's going to be the more public facing one here. But yeah, that's all the EF leadership news. Now, of course, you're probably all wondering, if you haven't seen the news yet, what about Danny Ryan? Because everyone was asking about Danny Ryan to be the executive director. And I remember I mentioned on Friday's Refuel that I thought that I guess like it would be better for him to probably join a team that's not the EF at this stage, of where I think that his skills would fit better in, and what maybe he wants as well. Like, because at the end of the day, everyone was cheering for him to be the executive director here, but was that really what he wanted in the end? Well, turns out he's not going to be the executive director of the Ethereum Foundation, but he's going somewhere that I personally think is a better fit for him, which is he's joined as a co-founder of Etherealize. So this is a huge deal because obviously we now have two pretty big entities within the Ethereum ecosystem. We have the Ethereum Foundation and Etherealize tackling different things. The Ethereum Foundation will tackle the R&D stuff mostly. Etherealize is going to tackle the institutional, TradFi, government, kind of nation state side of Ethereum. And these two powerhouse teams, or organizations I should say, are going to get Ethereum to win and win big. And I've been saying that on Twitter for a little while now. So I'm extremely excited that Danny has found a home here. I'm just glad that he's back in Ethereum, honestly, because I've always loved his takes on things, his work ethic, what he has done for Ethereum in the past, and I know just how good he is at what he does. So I think that this is a huge get for Etherealize. As I said, he's going to be a co-founder alongside Vivek here, who, as you guys know, has been tweeting a lot about Ethereum on the institutional side of things, on the TradFi side of things. I'm in contact with Vivek as well. I've been talking to him a lot about things, and he makes me bullish. Honestly, there's not that many people who can make me more bullish on ETH, but Vivek is definitely one of them there. The other one is Justin Drake, and even Danny Ryan. Like, there's only a handful of people that can make me more bullish on ETH, but those are the people there. So yeah, anyway, huge congrats to Danny as well, obviously to Tomas and Xiao Wei on their new appointments here. And I think this was a really, really great outcome for everyone. I think that it's kind of funny. After all the drama over the last maybe 3 months around all of this, we've gotten to a position that I think has made everyone happy. I didn't see anyone be upset about these announcements. And I definitely don't think anyone is any more upset than maybe... they're not upset. I would say like they're cautiously optimistic about the executive director thing. That's just going to need to prove itself out, but I think that it's going to be a really good fit for the EF, and I think that Danny's going to be a really good fit for Etherealize, of course. And as I said, I think these two powerhouse organizations can now take Ethereum into true war mode so that it can compete with the dirty competition. As I said, guys, like there are people that are close to Trump's administration that are not rooting for ETH. They're not batting for ETH. They're batting for their own bags. And I guess that's only natural, but by doing so, they're also trashing Ethereum behind the scenes. They're basically trying to tear down Ethereum while talk up their own thing. And if you aren't involved in crypto at all or only casually involved in it, it's very easy to fall into this. It's very easy to believe what these people say say, because they say it with confidence. I see them say this on videos, like they say it with confidence, and they'll just talk as much shit as possible because they're making money out of it. Like, unfortunately, this market tends to reward crime. So I'm glad that we have a counterbalance here now with Etherealize, with a stronger Ethereum foundation, so that we can continue to build out the Ethereum ecosystem with our core principles in mind you, and not needing to, I guess, like stoop to that level there. Sometimes we probably have to fight a little bit dirty, but yeah, that's just the way it is there. So those are all the leadership change announcements here. There was also another thing that from the Ethereum Foundation that was controversial and did get a lot of flack on Twitter. They announced this new kind of informal society called the Silviculture Society, which is essentially a group of people from the Ethereum ecosystem that will act as informal advisors to the EF about all things going on in Ethereum, from development to infrastructure to privacy to the social layer stuff, like just a bunch of different things. And you'll recognize a bunch of names on the list here, as well as in the image, which I'll link this in the YouTube description below if you missed this. But the reason why it was controversial and the problem that people had with it was really just the language here, because they used a bit of flowery language where they said the roots of the infinite garden are nourished by soils rich in these core values. Ethereum's success depends on having talented and committed developers building with these values in mind, and the EF's ethos and the work has always been centered around them. And as I said, flowery language, infinite garden, nourished soils, so on and so forth. And it didn't really explain what this new kind of society or informal advisorship actually is and what they're going to be doing. So I think that again speaks to the fact that the EF just sucks at marketing themselves and marketing what they're doing. I hope that's going to improve under Tomas and Xiaowei's leadership. I think it will, but I don't know. People tend to make a huge deal out of things when just because of the fact that maybe price isn't doing what they want it to do. And I think that people just love to have an opinion on everything these days, because you have like a platform to I guess use as a megaphone for that opinion and then get engagement on it and so on and so forth. But really, I don't know, I didn't have an issue with this. I saw this and I was like, yeah, okay, maybe they could have explained it better. But people made a meme out of it saying that, are you a gardener, in Ethereum now? It's like, guys, this infinite garden thing is not a new thing. Like, it's been talked about for at least 6 years now. This is how we think about Ethereum. We do think about Ethereum as an infinite garden. It's not a meme. It's not a joke. It's just the way we think about it. And this is a core Ethereum thing. This is not something that we're going to be going and talking to, BlackRock about. We're not going to tell them Ethereum is the infinite garden. No, we're just going to go to them and say, hey, Ethereum is this, Ethereum is this platform, this decentralized platform. There's this whole economy built on it. You can build your own L2 on it if you want to. You can deploy your own tokenized assets on it if you want to, so on and so forth. We're not going to go up to Larry Fink and say, hey man, do you want to be a gardener in the infinite garden that is Ethereum? Do you want to tend to the soil? No, that's language for the internal kind of very inner Ethereum community, because we like that language. At least people I talk to really like that language. It's inspiring. But when it actually means going out and talking to businesses, talking to large TradFi organizations, governments and stuff, that language is not going to be used. So again, I think this was just blown out of proportion. But I'm glad to see that the EF put this together, because as I said, like, I recognize a bunch of names on this graphic here, and they're chads at what they do. So I'm glad that they are having a relationship here with the EF, even if it is informal there. All right, something else I just wanted to highlight here was the Ethereum Cypherpunk manifesto that was put together by this account on Twitter. I say account because their Twitter name is sudo-rm-rf-no preserve root, which is, I believe, I'm not an expert on this, but I believe it's the way of killing your Linux box. You basically remove the operating system and you don't preserve root. So essentially you kill everything. But yeah, it's a funny Twitter name. But they posted this Ethereum Cypherpunk manifesto, which essentially outlines what Ethereum's core kind of beliefs and pillars are. So our core principles are privacy, security, and censorship resistance. Obviously, we all know that, right? Our pillars are immutability, decentralized governance, open access, global coordination, and continuous evolution. And this has all got a little paragraph underneath it to explain this in more detail, which I'll link in the YouTube description below. But I was really happy to see this for a number of reasons. And really, the two main reasons. One, I'm glad that we have this kind of out there now because of the fact that I don't think we've had something like this before, other than people talking about it and it being in disparate locations. But now we have more of a, I guess, like centralized location for this, which is on a HackMD document here, outlining exactly what Ethereans believe, what Ethereum is being built for, and why Ethereum is being built the way it is, why it may be slower than other networks or cost more than other networks, why it may be slower to evolve, why it may have taken longer to scale, stuff like that, right? It's because we care about these things. These are our core pillars and our core principles here. And the second reason why I was excited to see this was because I commented and said I was actually talking to people about doing this at DevCon, and it never happened. I never ended up getting around to it. It was just another thing that I thought of when I was at DevCon. I was talking to people about this. I'm like, what if we had some kind of manifesto or some kind of charter that outlined exactly what Ethereum stands for? Then we could easily just show this to anyone and say, this is what Ethereum stands for. This is what Ethereum is. Yes, it may be different to what you're used to within crypto and outside of crypto, but this is what we believe, and this is why Ethereum is the way it is there. So I'm glad this exists. I'll link it in the YouTube description below for you guys to check out. All right, moving on. So as you guys know, the core developers over the last week or so have been trying to save the Holesky testnet after the bug that caused the chain to fork last week during the Pectra upgrade, and that caused the minority chain to actually be the valid one. So there is a TLDR here of the bugs on Holesky right now from the ETH core devs.eth account. There wasn't an issue with any of the core Pectra EIPs, as I mentioned last week. There was an edge case that caused the split. The mainnet fork is still to be decided, but they don't believe there's going to be any significant delays. Neither do I. Significant being like month-long delays. There may be a 1 to 2 week delay. We'll see. I think this week's All Core Devs call will probably cover that. This was obviously a great opportunity for the core devs to conduct a war room exercise on Holesky here, because this stuff can potentially happen on mainnet, and testnets are for testing. So I thought that was just a great TLDR there, and I think that last point is the most important. Testnets are for testing. We should be very glad this was caught on testnet rather than on mainnet. Because if a bug like this happened on mainnet, which I don't think is possible, the specific bug isn't possible on mainnet from my understanding, but let's just say a similar bug happened on mainnet, it would be quite disastrous, to put it mildly. It would not kill Ethereum dead, but it would severely damage Ethereum as a network. And that's why we do so much testing, because we need to evolve as a network, but we also can't kill the network by moving too quickly. And I've gone over this so many times on the refuel, and I know I'm preaching to the choir here, but that's exactly why we do what we do and have as many test nets and testing and dev nets as we have. So yeah, I'll keep you guys updated on Holesky. I don't think much has changed since last week in terms of where we're at. I think they're still trying to save it, still trying to get validators online in order to get the network going again. But hey, it's a test net, we're testing things, and we're discovering more about Ethereum as we go. All right, last up here, a bit of talk again about scaling Ethereum, in particular blobs. So Vitalik posted on Twitter that he believes for 2025, we need Fusaka on L1 with PeerDAS, ideally with a 48/72 blob target/limit. Let's aim to get a Fusaka testnet with these blob parameters running the day after Pectra goes live. So this is quite aggressive. As you guys know, the blob target and limit right now is 3/6. It will become 6/9 in Pectra. So if we get, maybe if we just get PeerDAS as its own fork, maybe not even part of Fusaka, but whatever way it ends up happening, if we get that in like late Q3, let's say it happens in September of Q3, we will go to 48/72 from 6/9. That is a massive increase, guys. Like that is what is it? 48. My head math is screwing up right now. Yeah, it's 8. So that's an 8x increase in the blob target in only a few months. If we do end up getting Fusaka live on the network in September of this year. So that's pretty big, dude. Guys, that's a pretty big deal, because right now, yes, we're at limit of blobs, and once Pectra goes live, we won't be at limit for a little while, but we're going to hit that limit pretty quickly, because 6 blobs isn't that much. But going up to 48 blobs from 6, that is a significant increase. That's almost an order of magnitude increase, which means that we should be able to buy ourselves even more time into next year before that gets filled up again. We shouldn't be slowing down, but we do seem to be accelerating on the blob side of things, which is really, really great. So I'm glad that Vitalik tweeted this out, because more people need to be aware of this. Ethereum is scaling, and it's scaling very quickly. We're going to scale blobs up as fast as we can, and it's going to be a really, really great time with that, I think. But anyway, I've got a few minutes left here, so I did want to talk a little bit about the markets. I didn't talk about them last week, and I haven't talked about them that much lately because there's not really anything new I'm going to say at this point. I have my core principles that I always kind of relay to you guys about being a long-term investor, not getting swept up by the latest trends. Obviously, if you made money on meme coins, good for you, but I hope none of you held them because they're down like 90+% now, even the quote-unquote blue chips, right? And I think I talked about all of this and warned about all of this, so it's not worth rehashing because you guys have heard me go on about it a million times before. But one thing I do want to talk a little bit about is the wider cycle, because I think I've been saying it for a while that I believe the 4-year cycle is dead. I think this cycle has been the weirdest cycle in crypto. I think that it has disappointed pretty much everyone, even the Bitcoiners. Like, yes, they got a pretty good run in BTC. It went to, 110K was its last high, but a lot of Bitcoiners were expecting BTC to like explode up to 200, 300, 400K, and they didn't get that. And then you have the rest of the market where obviously with ETH, we haven't gotten a new all-time high this cycle yet. We've hit 4K a bunch of times, and that seems to be very stiff resistance for some reason, a big wall we can't seem to climb over. Then you had some outliers like Sol go up a lot. It went up to like, I think 290 at its high. It's now down at like 150 or something like that. So it basically halved since then. I think that's like 2 months ago. And then meme coins, obviously, as I said, are down a lot. And the rest of crypto never really went through what I guess people referred to as an alt season. So there wasn't that typical Bitcoin goes up, all-time high, ETH goes up, all-time high, then we get alt season. It didn't happen like that. And Bitcoin dominance has remained very high throughout the whole cycle. It's over 60% right now. So I think because of that, it has led to a lot of disappointment within the community and within the ecosystem around crypto investing generally. And I've always said to you guys that crypto investing has tricked people, or crypto has tricked people into thinking that investing is easy, when in reality, investing is very hard. And because the game has matured a lot now, you have a lot more players that know the game. And that's why you're not going to get similar cycles to what we've had in the past. There's just too many people that know the game. We're also on the macro side still in a high rate environment. We're in a risk-off environment, I think, because of the fact that there's a lot of uncertainty in the world right now, especially with regards to the stuff that Trump is saying. Like, yes, Trump has been good for crypto in the sense that the SEC is now friendly, right? And he's been vocally bullish on crypto, but he's been bad for a lot of other things as well. Like, I'm sorry, but saying to Canada that you want it to become the 51st state is ridiculous, right? Saying you're going to leave NATO is ridiculous. I'm not trying to get too political here, but these things are not things you should just be talking about and tweeting out about and then changing your mind every other day. Even what he did today with the crypto strategic reserve, that was ridiculous. So we're in an environment where you can't rely on the president of the United States to actually give you something straight. You have this max uncertainty going on, and in an asset class like crypto where it relies on risk-on behavior, we're just not going to get that in a max uncertainty environment. So I think that explains why the market has been so weird, at least over the past couple of months. I think that in terms of where we are at in the overall cycle, I'm not sure. I have no real read on it anymore. I think that, as I said, the 4-year cycles are over. It seems like right now, at least, people are saying that we're going to go into another bear market. That was it. That was the bull market, bear market time. I'm not so sure about that. I think because the cycles are different during the bull market, they're going to be different during the bear market as well. Most assets that were just like crap to begin with are already down 90%. BTC, it seems to be just like going sideways. ETH came down a lot for whatever reason, but he's still kind of, I guess, going sideways between the 2 and 4K range. If you count that as a range, it's a pretty big range, but like if you count that there, but ETH is still worth a lot as well. It's like 250 plus billion still, guys. So I think, as I said, I don't think anyone has a read on the cycle at this point. Anyone that is telling you that they know what's going to happen is lying to you because the cycles are different. You can't rely on past data anymore. Even the ones that try to curve fit data, they're having a hard time doing this too because the assets are just not acting like they usually have. So the reason why I guess I brought this up again today is because I know a lot of you guys are disappointed in the cycle, disappointed in ETH as an asset has not done what you thought it was going to do. Especially if you got in after 2021, because even if you bought ETH at the bottom at like 900 or 880, I think 880 was the exact bottom, but even if you bought ETH at 900, right, you're probably not pleased with its performance. Even though it's still up, you're probably not pleased with its performance, especially against other assets, and I totally understand that. But then at the same time, no one else seems to be happy either. As I said, Bitcoiners don't seem to be happy either. They got like everything they wanted pretty much, but they're still not happy. They still spend all their time trashing Ethereum, like for whatever reason. So I think when it comes to sourcing happiness from things, you really need to stop relying on the market. If you are relying on the market for your happiness, don't do that, because it's always going to disappoint you, because you're going to check the price one day, it's going to be up and you're going to be like, oh yeah, that's awesome. My dopamine receptors are firing. I'm happy. And then the market's going to go down the next day, and then you're going to check it and you're like, oh damn, this sucks. Like, is it all over? So on and so forth. And I've talked about this at length on the refuel, and I've said this so many times at this point, but I always like reiterating things. I always like adding something new, maybe to my, I wouldn't call it advice, but just like my thoughts on things, because I think you guys, I've been around for a long time. I think I have some unique perspectives here, but at the same time, as I said, like, just because I've been around for a long time doesn't mean I have any read on where things are going. I'm still bullish on ETH over the long term. I'm still very bullish on ETH and Ethereum over the longer term. But in terms of looking at the past as an indicator of future performance for assets, but also for the ecosystem cycle as a whole, it's going to be very hard to do that, I think, going forward. So I'm not calling the bull market over or going into another bear market. I think we're just in a weird market generally. And I think that until that uncertainty clears at the macro level, until rates come down, until we have easing monetary policy generally, I just think it's going to be really hard for risk-on assets to go up. Like, I think that the uncertainty is the worst of it, honestly, and I'm hoping that the uncertainty can stop, the macro uncertainty generally, because it just puts further pressure on an already kind of pressured asset class in terms of monetary policy, because we're just being hit by both sides. Shitty monetary policy in terms of it not being good for risk on assets, and a lot of uncertainty. Markets hate uncertainty. If there's literally anything out of anything that the markets hate the most, it's uncertainty, because you can't invest with uncertainty unless you're like a really long-term investor, sure. But I mean, there are huge money allocators that do think longer term, but they're not thinking like 5-10 years. They're thinking maybe 1-2 years out. And if you're thinking in those terms, you're thinking in terms of the presidency, because the presidency lasts 4 years until there's a change, or 2 years at best if you have like a midterm kind of change, a shift in power there. So they're thinking on those timelines. And when you have the president of the United States saying he's going to leave NATO, declaring war on random countries, posting AI-generated videos of sitting in Gaza with Netanyahu on a beach drinking beers or whatever they were doing there, like that's ridiculous, guys. Like that's I don't care what your politics are. I don't care if you're right-leaning, left-leaning. It doesn't matter. I'm just going to call out ridiculousness when I see it, and that's what I'm seeing right now, and that's what the markets are seeing. That's what the world is seeing. That's not good. It's uncertainty. So yeah. Anyway, I've ranted enough about uncertainty there, but I figured it was worth giving my thoughts on that there for you guys. But I think that is it for today's episode. So thank everyone for listening and watching. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the newsletter, join the Discord channel, and I'll catch you all on Wednesday. Thanks, everyone.